welcome to Bridges Engage Demo Day. Thank you for joining us from so many different places, teams, and communities. It truly means a lot that you have taken the time to be here with us today. My name is Asif Hasan. I'm one of the co-founder and CEO at NeuroAI. It's an honor to welcome all of you. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land where NeuroAI was founded. We acknowledge that while we are gathered virtually from many different places all around the globe, NeuroAI was founded in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, on the traditional and unceded territory of the Wolastoqey people. We honor the people of the Wabanaki Confederacy and are grateful to live, learn, and work on their lands. At NeuroAI, our mission is to support families, caregivers, and professionals with tools that bring clarity, confidence, and continuity of care into everyday life. Our vision is to make high-quality, evidence-informed support accessible to anyone who needs it, no matter where they are. We began our journey with a strong focus on autism because that's where the need first called us. But our commitment extends far beyond that. As we grow, learn, and build, we're dedicated to thoughtfully supporting all forms of neurodiversities. And of course, none of this happens alone. Behind everything that you'll see today is a team of people who care deeply about meaningful and responsible innovation, because collaboration is at the heart of everything we do. And in our commitment to building ethical, responsible technology, today is just the beginning. This is the first of many demo day sessions you'll be part of. Each one will give you a clear window into our progress and into the real voices shaping Bridges, our clinicians, our caregivers, and the families that we serve. In today's session particularly, you'll hear directly from our clinicians, the people at the heart of the human-centered model that we're designing. They will share how their expertise, their lived experiences, and their day-to-day work with families are shaping the design, the features, and the workflows that you'll see today. This isn't a technology built in isolation. This is innovation grounded in practice, guided by clinical wisdom, and centered all around real families. Thank you once again for being here with us. And now I'll pass it over to Dr. Rajendram, our Chief Medical Officer and today's host, to begin our program. Please enjoy.
Thanks so much, Asif. This is really a special day for our team because it's our first public demo of Bridges Engage. And Bridges Engage is our caregiver-facing platform, an AI companion for families of neurodivergent kids. And but before I get into what we've been building, a bit about me. So I come into this work as a physician, but I'm also a second-generation Tamil Canadian, the son of refugee parents, and the father of 2 young children. And probably most relevant to what I'm presenting today is that I'm also a sibling of an adult with autism and intellectual disability. And these experiences have shaped how I see the healthcare system and its gaps. At NeuroAI, I'm our Chief Medical Officer and lead AI strategy, but I'm also a developmental pediatrician at Home Bourview Kids Rehab, where I see children for the assessment and management of autism spectrum disorder. In clinic, I see families who are doing everything they can, but still feel alone between visits. And today, I want to show you how NeuroAI is trying to change that. Trying to change that in a way that's clinically grounded, safe, and genuinely helpful in everyday life. Before we dive in, a bit of housekeeping. Please make this interactive. If you have a question or a reaction at any point, drop it in the Q&A panel. Our team is watching and responding, and we'll also pull some of those questions if we have time at the end to have a bit of a discussion. Over the next hour, I'm going to be walking through a common family scenario, go through some of the features of the app, and share some early understanding and learnings from our pilot. Joining me today is Alisha Hasan, CEO of Real World ABA, one of our first pilot partners, who'll be sharing some of those early learnings. And also joining me is our co-founder and Chief Content Officer, Dr. Sharon Gainforth, who will be speaking to the heart and motivation driving what you see today. If any of what you see resonates with you, we would love for you to explore Bridges Engage yourself and talk to us about pilots in your particular settings. We encourage you to stay till the very end as we have a feedback survey form, and we'd love to hear what you think about what we're building here today. So For many families that I see on a day-to-day basis, answers to questions about their child's development are 6 months to a year away. And then let's say a child does get a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, getting actual supports from an occupational therapist or a speech therapist or behavior therapist can be up to a year, sometimes even 5 years away. And Bridges Engage was built to fill that gap. Our hope is not to replace the work we do as clinicians, but to extend it beyond the walls of our institutions, to bring reliable, developmentally informed support into the moments where families actually need it delivered in the right way at the right time. So what I'm going to be walking you through today is really how we've taken the best of what we know, evidence, developmental science, years of clinical conversations with families, lived experience, and turn it into a tool that feels practical, reassuring, and genuinely useful in the flow of real life. So to make this real, I wanted to introduce you to Lucas and his mom, Maya. Lucas is 5. He's recently been diagnosed with autism. He has language delays. He loves trains. He loves predictability. He does not like loud noises. When routines change or when it's time to stop a preferred activity and transition to something else, he often becomes overwhelmed and has a very intense tantrum. Maya, his mom, describes walking around the home like she's on eggshells. She's thoughtful, engaged, and doing everything she can, but the meltdowns are exhausting and unpredictable and emotionally heavy. Right now, what's most important to her is that she just wants Lucas to feel safe and regulated, and she wants to feel like she is a partner in figuring out what to do next. Let's zoom in on one very high stakes moment, but probably a very common occurrence in this scenario. It's an ordinary weekday morning. Lucas is happily watching trains on his tablet, and Maya turns it off just so they can get ready to go to daycare. Of course, everything unravels. He screams, he throws the tablet, he drops to the floor, maybe he hits her. The meltdown lasts 15 minutes. Maya is shaken, she's late for daycare again, and she's already depleted before her workday even starts. For many of us in this space, this story is very familiar. It's one snapshot of something that happens again and again and again and again and can be a huge emotional and practical consequence for a family. In that moment, or maybe later that night, Maya will look for help, like most people do today. She might Google, "My child screams and hits when I turn off the iPad." She might scroll on Reddit or TikTok, or ask a general chatbot like ChatGPT. What she gets back in 2025 is a flood of information. Some of it's great, some of it's questionable, some of it's harmful, misinformation, disinformation, or even blame-oriented. Almost none of it knows anything about her child, her context, or what her care team is already working on. And this is the reality families are living in. It's not a lack of information, it's a lack of trusted, personalized, neuroaffirming guidance that fits with their child's actual profile and their clinician's plans. So we asked a simple question. What if families could have safe, personalized support in the moment right on their phone? And here is where Allie comes in, our caregiver-facing AI companion who lives inside Bridges Engage. Allie has been designed and tested for more than 600 hours by clinicians and families. Allie talks to families in a neuroaffirming, strengths-based, trauma-informed manner. And the content Allie has access to is evidence-based and personalized to family context. Allie runs inside a narrow, clinically validated environment with boundaries around what Allie does and does not do, with a real team, us, monitoring and improving Allie over time. Before I show you what it actually feels like to talk to Allie, it's helpful to see where she lives in the larger Bridges architecture we've been talking about. So Allie and the intelligence behind Allie is not just a standalone chatbot that we've dropped into an app. She sits inside the Bridges operating system, which you can think of as an infrastructure layer for neurodevelopmental care. On one side, you have Bridges Engage, which I'll be talking about today, in the hands of caregivers. And that's the experience I'll be walking through in the next few slides with Maya. On the other side, there's Bridges Clarity, our clinician-facing dashboard and co-pilot that teams will use in clinics, schools, and community agencies to support families like Maya and Lucas. Allie lives in the middle as an AI layer that connects all of those worlds. She's using a structured developmental profile of the child and family context, and over time, she'll be able to surface the right information back to clinicians and families in a way that's actually usable. Underneath all of this Bridges infrastructure lies our safety systems, data governance, and AI stack. That's what allows us to keep Allie domain-specific, neuroaffirming, and trauma-informed, instead of just pointing, again, a general purpose AI at vulnerable families and hoping for the best. With this big picture in mind, let me show you what a family like Maya and Lucas actually sees the first time they meet Allie. So one of the first places families meet Allie is the intake experience. Allie starts with a story, not a survey. So Maya can simply tell Allie about her child in her own words, Lucas's strengths and needs, and the system intelligently records that information in the background. So Allie's intelligent intake system is actually designed to capture 19 different needs, spanning everything from communication to behavior to daily life skills. But the number of questions actually asked of Maya is much less than that. In practice, it can be anywhere from 8 to 12 actual questions. And you can see that counter jump there in the corner from 1 to 2 to 5. As Allie hears more from Maya, she's not asking the same questions and even skips questions that's already been answered. She can take smart detours when something important shows up. For example, if a caregiver discloses a big safety concern or a mental health worry, Allie doesn't continue to ask questions, but actually tries to provide support and asks for permission before continuing. The whole design goal here around this intake system is to make intake feel like a conversation and to reduce caregiver burden, not add another long form to their lives. At the end of the onboarding process, once Maya has shared a bit about Lucas, Allie reflects it back to her. Allie summarizes what she's heard about Lucas's strengths, challenges, sensory profile, and routines, and acknowledges the effort Maya's already putting in. It's a moment that feels like someone has actually truly listened to what she's just shared. And it serves as a shared reference point so that families and clinicians can build on that later. And Allie as well will build on this later as Maya has further conversations with her. For many caregivers, and I know this from being in clinic every day, this kind of reflection can be powerful. It says, I heard what you've shared. I see your child as more than just a list of problems, and I see you as more than just a list of tasks. It's how I would talk to Maya if I saw her in clinic today. Now, let's come back to that tablet moment from this morning. Maya might type to Allie, Lucas had a huge tantrum when I turned off the tablet. What should I do? Allie's first move, again, is to validate her experience, then offer a few personalized concrete steps that are tuned to Lucas's age, developmental profile, sensory profile, what she just experienced in history, not a generic script that you might get elsewhere. This is behavior coaching that meets Maya in that moment in plain language with evidence-based strategies that she can actually use in real time. From my experience, parents usually move from that question to, what do I do, to why is this happening pretty quickly. And here, you can see Maya asked that question. Allie explains, what is going on with transitions in a simple, reflective, respectful language. But she also connects things like predictability, sensory overload, what she knows about Lucas specifically, and regulation strategies, and helps Maya to start to see patterns rather than individual episodes that are difficult for her. We wanted this experience of understanding to feel like a shared collaborative detective work around triggers and supports without any hint of blame. And for my behavior colleagues in the room, Allie will actually probe through a bit of antecedent behavior consequence data before providing a response in scenarios that she hasn't encountered before. We're very mindful that families are already overwhelmed. And here you see an example of Maya asking for one simple thing she can do tomorrow. And so again, instead of handing a checklist or a 20-step plan, what she gets is one simple step, a small change that's appropriate for what she's already learned and knows how to do, and actionable change that she can do with Lucas next morning. And we wanted to provide Maya and parents like Maya with small, focused, actionable steps in those urgent, high-stakes moments that they can apply right away. And the idea is to respect caregiver bandwidth and keep things moving forward in a tiny, achievable steps. A question I get asked every day, is this normal? Is it normal for Lucas to behave this way? Parents want to know where they stand. And here you'll see Allie help Maya understand what is typical for neurodivergent kids with Lucas's profile and where there might be red flags that are worth bringing back to her clinician. The goal here is to normalize neurodivergent patterns without dismissing real challenges or safety issues. This is how I would respond to Maya if she asked me this question today. And we want families to feel less alone, but also know that when something deserves more attention, that attention will be given. Finally, we know that none of Lucas's care and the care Maya will receive happens in a bubble. Lucas is also spending a big part of his day at daycare. And on this slide, you'll see how Allie helps Maya draft key talking points she can share with her educators. With Lucas's educator, sorry. And these suggestions help align home and classroom around the same support system for Lucas. Again, not a generic autism handout that mom has to print and share with the school. And this really makes it easier for everyone that's in Lucas's circle of care to understand what direction Lucas is heading in and how best to support him. So far, I've shown you what Allie does, but I want to talk clearly about safety and validation because it's super important to us here at NeuroAI. This is really what distinguishes what we've built here from a generic AI chatbot on your phone or searching on Google. Allie, as I mentioned before, has been tested for over 600 hours by clinicians and families, and we've recorded more than 5,000 user messages between August and November of this year. And during this time, there have been no crisis or severe events related to this tool. And I know that because we are flagging these things. We do have frameworks built in to flag severe or safety concerns or crises that families might be experiencing. And any crisis-related concerns that can be escalated to our pilot partner clinicians within the same 24-hour sort of time frame, in which if a family does have any issues with Allie, we are also reviewing and supporting and improving as we build Allie out. This is a contained, governed environment. We control the content that Allie can draw on, and we limit her scope. And we're, as I said, continuously reviewing how she responds. And this is a very different proposition from the open models that are out there right now that might not be tuned for our neurodivergent population. And to share a little bit about Allie and Bridges Engage in the real world, I'd like to invite Alisha now to join us. Alisha is CEO of Real World ABA, and she's played a key role of helping us with the improvements and the building of our platform, but also being our first pilot partner. So we're grateful for her work and excited for her to share her experience. I'm happy to pass it over to Alisha.
Thank you, Dr. Rageen. I really enjoyed listening to your presentation. It's so useful for our families. Hi, everyone. As Dr. Rageen already introduced, my name is Alisha Hasan, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Real World ABA, where our mission is keeping families together by wrapping them in compassionate, neuroaffirming supports that actually make sense for their real life. I've been so blessed to be supporting autistic children since I was a little girl of about 6 years old. My mom was a speech language pathologist, and I had the very important job of being the toy tester and the peer mentor at her social skills groups for autistic children almost like 30 years ago. So that early experience shaped everything I do today. And at Real World ABA, we focus on family centered care, trauma assumed practice, and deeply practical skills that help children thrive at home, in school, and in their communities. Every day, I get to work with incredible families and an even more incredible team who believe, like I do, that with the right support, children can thrive in any environment, regardless of diagnosis. So I'm honored to be here and genuinely excited to connect with you all. So, about our center, our clients typically range between the ages of 3 and 22, with diagnoses ranging from autism to intellectual development disorders and fetal alcohol syndrome. Most of the people we support are the ones who've been excluded from school, from after school programs, from the places where you would expect children to belong. And their families are exhausted, stretched thin, and often feel like they have nowhere to turn. I have families who've never been able to take their kids to a birthday party or even a park in years due to safety concerns and stigma. And then there's the wait list times. In New Brunswick, families are often waiting over a year, sometimes much longer for specialized supports. And this is especially hard for families living in rural communities who already feel disconnected. And our funders are constantly asking us to provide budget friendly solutions that can offer parent coaching. The challenge for us was like, how do you maintain quality without direct oversight? So we asked ourselves, is it possible to support families now, not 1 year from now, and also outside of working hours, while maintaining the quality of support? Like, how do we help the mom who's trying to toilet train her 8-year-old alone? Or the dad whose child isn't sleeping and he hasn't had an uninterrupted night in months because he literally is sleeping outside of the door in case his son wakes up and becomes unsafe? Like, how do we make sure parents aren't suffering in silence while they wait for help? So that's where Bridges Engage comes in. We're offering our families access to the app while they wait so they can engage with a trusted partner right away. No cold Google searches, no contradictory advice, no judgment. So let me give you a real example. I wanted to test it out myself since like quality care is at the core of everything that we do. I used one of our families who have an elementary school age child who isn't toilet trained. The parents exhausted. We inputted the information about their child, and within minutes, they received evidence based trauma assumed recommendations from Allie, the AI support. What I loved was that the recommendations from Allie almost perfectly matched the strategies we'd put into our formal programming, but they were written in a warm, friendly, non overwhelming way. The focus wasn't on what the parents weren't doing or giving tasks that are overwhelming. Allie simply started by creating safety, connection, co regulation, and ultimately joy. Not the old school black and white, here's your rigid schedule approach that burns everyone out, child included. It would make the parents feel seen, supported, and actually capable of succeeding. I personally so wish I had this app when I was a foster parent. Even with my intensive behavioral training, I felt so much shame, anxiety, and pressure questioning all my choices as a foster mom. We had a sibling group of up to 6 children, and they all had significant behavioral and mental health challenges. We had to have our knives locked up. All of our home decorations came from the dollar store for when they would eventually break, typically being used as a projectile. If I had had access to Bridges Engage back then, I think there would have been a lot less tears of begging social development for help or additional supports. I also don't know if we would have had a placement breakdown the way that we did. I don't think being a foster parent in that moment would have felt so heavy and on my mental health and my marriage. I needed advice on how to get them to school, how to get them to eat supper, how to co-regulate with them when they were beyond upset. And I know my husband and I would have spent nights talking to Allie and asking advice on what to do with those beautiful children who continue to have our hearts. We were constantly seeking validation and understanding in our decisions based on their behaviors and trauma history. So when I see how Allie talks to parents now and watching them receive the kindness and the empathetic reminders that say, hey, it's hard and you're going through a lot and it's clear how much you care, it genuinely calms my soul because it gives me hope that maybe the parents will believe that they are doing an amazing job and this app will open them up to be able to receive some easy to follow and understand recommendations. This app gave me hope that the parents who lived through what I experienced for, a short window of 3 years, yet for them, it's every single day. Allie could have offered us some simple strategies on how to help co regulate with our foster kids when things got hard. Yes, I'm a BCBA and worked in this field for over 20 years, but we're not meant to be parents and full time therapists and full time support workers, respite workers, advocates, and at times what feels like SWAT teams. That's why I love Bridges Engage because I personally know how helpful it would have been in our home as foster parents. And I see the opportunity it has to reduce stress, increase joy, and give parents doable next steps that brings hope. Now, For the clinician side of it, this has been just as powerful. Families can come to us now after using the app with a clearer understanding of their child and a clearer way of communicating. It helps bridge the gap between parents and clinicians so much faster. You can share your scenario, your struggles, your questions without any judgment and receive recommendations that actually fit inside of your home, your child, your capacity, your values, your family culture. So I'll give you a case study. One of our kiddos had a very restricted diet. Parents completely at wit's end, full on caregiver burnout mode. Mealtime was really hard. So the concept of even expanding food interests was seen as an unattainable goal. So I wanted to test it out. I wanted to see how Allie would help this family in this scenario. The kiddo was nonverbal at the time, and he was also very determined to make his own path in life, incredibly playful, curious, and super cuddly. I consulted with the parents and inputted all the information into the app about our kiddo. Allie, the AI clinical agent, reshaped the entire goal into naturalistic play based strategies and gave us realistic expectations. Everyone was able to take a deep breath. Yes, it was okay to want a sit down mealtime with the family. Yes, it was okay to grieve the loss of not having that experience in the way the family had anticipated it. Yet, as Allie emotionally supported and validated the parents' concerns, because Allie keeps listening to you and the stories of all of the information about your kiddo, she already knew everything about him, what songs he liked, what his favorite textures were, what he likes to do. And then she suggested like exactly what this kiddo was interested in, and she suggested and showed us how we could incorporate those interests into a stress-free no demand play model built to use our kiddo's interests and preferred play skills to expand his food intake. It was so cute. We started with clementines, literally exploring and modeling how to explore the food in a similar way he explores his favorite items and activities. So he would sit in his chariot and we would pull him through our hallways as he held and twirled the clementines in his hands. It was literally the first time after a year of him even touching or encountering a different type of food than what he was used to. When the parents saw their son holding this clementine for the first time, tears started to drop. And it was just like an image, a picture of hope. And I know there's always the fear of, hey, is AI taking away jobs and is it safe? Well, I can confidently say this isn't replacing clinicians. It's not replacing connections. It's in fact amplifying the children's team and doing it in a safe, ethical way. It's making sure families never feel alone, even while they wait for services. And it's helping us as providers to meet them where they are with better context, better collaboration, and better outcomes. I'm genuinely excited for what this means for our families, for our communities, and for the future of neuroaffirming care. Thank you so much for being here, everyone, and for caring about this work as much as I do. Back to you, Rageen.
Thanks so much, Alisha. Your contributions have been a very important part of building what Bridges Engage is today, and Allie for sure. And those examples are, I think really paint a picture similar to what I've just been doing about Maya and Luca, like as to the value of this platform. I think what I'll also add is that the most surprising, one of the most surprising things is that how much actually the clinicians have gotten out of this. Like we really focus on the families building this thing, but it's amazing how much some of your staff have gained and learned from Allie and that's been incredible. And we as a team at NeuroAI, we're really committed to collaboration and co-creation. So with all of our pilots, the first few months is really making sure that Allie is tuned to your local context, your care, the clients that you care for. So that's but that again, like, thanks so much, Alisha. So I want to move on to sharing a little bit more about the rest of Bridges Engage. And in part one, we followed Lucas and Maya, and we saw how Allie can support them in those everyday moments between visits. In part two, as I said, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you how the rest of this app that we built can help a parent like Maya and how it connects back to clinicians, teams, and health systems. So when you first open Bridges Engage, you're met with the home screen. And what you see is a personalized feed of content and suggestions that are both developmentally and context aware. So for a family like Lucas and Maya, or Maya who's just had a conversation with Allie about this particular episode with the tablet, what she'll see when she goes back to the home screen is short targeted pieces around transitions, sensory strategies, or communication, for example, and gentle reminders that line up with the goals that they've already set, perhaps with their care team that they're collaborating with. And home screen will adapt over time. And one of the things I just wanted to highlight while we're on this page is that you'll notice the design itself is quite calm and uncluttered. This was intentional. All of this was intentional. We wanted to make sure the UI was had big tap targets, plain language, minimal choices on each screen. And this is because we understand parents are often multitasking. They're exhausted. They're holding a crying child while using this app. And so the interface was designed to be low effort, low cognitive load, and emotionally safe. So no flashing alerts, no guilt-inducing streaks, counters, all of that stuff. No pushes to do more homework. We don't want to give parents more homework, right? And this is what we were thinking about as we designed how Bridges Engage looks. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that, as most of you will know, most apps are designed to keep you engaged with the app. From the beginning, our goal was the total opposite. We wanted to build something that gets parents off the screen as quickly as possible so they can engage with their child. So Bridges Engage is engagement with their child, and actually try out the things that are being shown in the app in the real world. We want parents to feel rewarded by those experiences, not spending hours on our platform. The second thing I wanted to talk about is our Connect library. This is a curated library of more than 900 evidence-based resources focused on, as Alisha mentioned, naturalistic developmental behavior intervention strategies. Again, the behavior colleagues in the room will know what that means. These resources have been developed and reviewed by clinicians and specialists. And families and clinicians can search and filter based on the child's profile, so they're not wading through random search results or influencer advice. It cannot, and that's, you'll see that little toggle there around search. And they can also untoggle that and see the entire list of things as well and search through that. Again, we're trying to move away from anything on the internet to trusted, structured living library that grows with our communities. And so this library is something that we built, but with any of our pilot partners, and we are very committed to working with you to help incorporate your own local resources into the Connect library, so it can be delivered to your clients at the right time in a personalized way. Families also have access to My Journal. This is a simple space where they can capture important moments, a great day, a hard day, a new behavior, or a win they want to remember. And they can also save Allie messages that they found, especially helpful, so they don't get lost in the scroll. And over time, this journal actually becomes a narrative record that families can share, and Allie can pull insights from in order to provide accurate data on demand for anyone that they're going to be working with. And so you can see how this will support behaviors care, or speech therapy care, or occupational therapy care. And it also gives Allie more context for her own future guidance. And lastly, inside Bridges Engage is Passport. Passport is a secure link that connects caregivers with their care providers. It gives families a way to share selected information from Bridges Engage into Bridges Clarity, or into systems that their team is already using, such as Meditech or Epic, whatever electronic medical record that a team might be using. And the philosophy here is that the data belongs to the family. They choose what to share with whom and when. And when they do choose to share that information, our AI intelligence automatically takes that information and structures it in a way that clinicians can use it quickly to expedite assessments and support. And perhaps the last thing I'll just briefly talk about is, and today's not a full Clarity demo, but I wanted to let you all know that this exists. And this is really where a lot of the power behind the data that we're gathering, that parents are sharing, comes to life for teams. Clarity is a dashboard and an AI co-pilot that helps clinicians see patterns in the information families are sharing through Bridges Engage. And Clarity helps clinicians prepare for visits more efficiently, co-create plans that feel realistic. Clinicians are also able to talk to a family's Allie in order to receive personalized insights and support the care that they provide with that child. Our pilots are already exploring how Clarity can support developmental pediatricians, behavior therapists like Alisha and our team, and interdisciplinary teams in both community and institutional settings. So at this point, you've seen Bridges Engage from two angles. You've seen how it walks alongside a family like Lucas and Maya in specific messy moments between visits, and how it connects into a broader operating system that can support clinicians and organizations. Underneath all of this is a very simple question. What do families really need in their everyday lives to move from overwhelm to a sense of empowerment? No one on our team has thought about this more deeply than Dr. Sharon Gainforth. Sharon is a speech and language pathologist with more than 40 years of clinical experience, and she serves as our Chief Content Officer here at NeuroAI. I'm delighted to hand things over to her so she can share a little bit more about what's at the heart of NeuroAI. Dr. Gainforth, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rageen. And I truly am honored to be speaking about a topic that has been very dear to my heart, and that is empowering parents. First, I'd like to thank everyone who's already shared their answer to the question that we put out there in one word. What do you think families of neurodivergent children need most? We've received lots of great input, but if you haven't contributed as yet and would like to, please go to the Mentimeter link, which is available in the chat panel. We'll take a look at those results shortly. Have you ever had a moment where the world suddenly presses in? The noise gets louder, the weight gets heavier, and even the simplest of choices feel impossible? Well, I have. And I'll tell you, it's not fun, but it is human. And for the 40 plus years of working with parents of children with autism, I have seen that very feeling in so many of the parents that I've deeply cared about. And here's the truth. Overwhelm is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a sign of caring, deeply, relentlessly. And for many parents, those moments of overwhelm look like this. A meltdown in the grocery aisle while strangers stare and judge. A school calling in the middle of your workday again. Googling at 2 o'clock in the morning, asking, why is my child screaming? Mealtime disasters. Does any of this sound familiar? Today, I want to talk about how we move from that overwhelm to empowerment, not through heroics, but through understanding the power of ordinary moments. Before I had children of my own, I was a young speech language pathologist. A parent and a child would arrive for their appointment, and I would happily trot off with their child while the parent waited in the wait room. We would have fun. I'd focus on communication goals, celebrate little wins, and feel good about the work that we were doing together. Then I'd bring the parent into my office, explain what we worked on, outline what I expected them to do at home, and then send them off with a smile and a cheerful wave. When they returned the following week, often it would appear that nothing had been done. And if I'm being honest, I felt incredibly frustrated. I felt bad for the child. And in my head, I would think, if only the parent would do what I asked them to do, we could be making progress. At times, I found myself venting to my mom, who, by the way, is now 91 and is still one of the wisest people that I know. She would listen, smile gently, and say, Sharon, Sharon, you will understand once you have children of your own. And of course, at that time, I thought, I understand just fine, thank you. They need to do the homework. Well, you probably can guess what happened next. I had two very active, very strong-willed children. And suddenly I understood. Not because someone taught me differently, no, life did. I understood that families aren't completing homework because they don't care. They're not getting it done because life is messy, unpredictable, exhausting, beautiful, chaotic, and real. Becoming a mom completely changed my professional practice. Instead of handing homework sheets to parents at the end of sessions, I began inviting parents into the session. We built strategies together. We tried things together. Homework wasn't just about a sheet of paper anymore. It became something co-created with parents, rooted in real moments of connection. I learned that empowerment doesn't happen when we prescribe, it happens when we partner. Because parents don't need more to do, they need support that fits the life they're already living. Support doesn't only happen in clinic rooms, although those appointments are important and often life-changing. It also happens in the quiet corners of everyday life woven into the rhythm of each family's home. Support doesn't only come with a binder or a therapy plan. Sometimes the most transformative moments are the simplest ones. A parent sitting beside a child during a meltdown, not to stop it, but to stay connected. That's co-regulation in real time. Or a child lining up toy cars and a parent adding one more to the child's lineup. That's connection. Or a parent slowing their own breathing and a child's body quietly following. That's neuroscience in action. Those moments don't replace professional intervention. Rather, they amplify it because every strategy a clinician teaches truly takes root when it lives in everyday relationships. Families, though, often don't realize that these moments actually count because no one has ever told them, hey, the small things you do, Mom, the small things you do, Dad, they're the things that matter the most. It's not about adding more to a family's day. It's about revealing the power that's already inside it, in their connection, in their presence, and everyday love. For far too long, intervention has focused almost entirely on the child, their behavior, their progress, their milestones. And really, at face value, this makes sense. But what I've seen over and over is this. Children thrive when their parents feel supported. Children flourish when parents feel understood. And children settle when parents feel grounded. When parents go from guessing to understanding, their entire world shifts, and so does their child's. Real change begins with the parent. Because when parents gain clarity and calm, a child gains a more stable world. It reframes the pressure, the guilt, the endless to-do lists into meaningful, doable strategies that fit naturally into daily routines. Real change doesn't judge families. It walks beside them. It meets them exactly where they are. Imagine for a moment a world where support doesn't begin with a checklist, but with compassion, where professionals ask parents, "How are you doing?" and then actually listen, where support honors the parent's role, their wisdom, and their lived experiences, where we see parents as more than homework implementers. We see them as partners in the moments that matter the most. Empowerment doesn't come from perfection, it comes from partnership. And this vision, a world where families feel held instead of judged, is at the heart of why we build Bridges Engage, a platform designed to meet parents in the moment that they need support with guidance that is evidence reviewed, compassionate, and practical. Not more to do, but more understanding of what they're already doing. Please indulge me for a moment. I want you to picture a parent, any parent, who might be carrying far more than anyone can see. Imagine that parent sitting right beside you. Do you see them? Do you see them sitting there? Now turn towards that invisible parent and say out loud, "You don't have to do it all. You're already doing so much." Go ahead. You don't have to do it all. You're already doing so much. And now, if you would, add this. And you don't have to do it alone. And you don't have to do it alone. I know, it feels a bit silly. If anyone walked in right now, they'd wonder why you were talking to an empty chair. But these words, when echoed through actions, are not silly at all. They are powerful, grounding, and they are exactly what so many families have needed to hear for far too long. Because that feeling of being held rather than judged, seen rather than scrutinized, supported rather than overwhelmed, that is what moves families from surviving to thriving, from overwhelm to empowerment. It doesn't happen in one leap. It happens in a series of small, supported steps we take together. And in the spirit of together, I would love to hear from you. In one word, what do you think families of neurodivergent children need most? And we're going to take a look at what you are offering. I love what you're adding to this. Compassion, hope, love, support, grace, empathy, understanding. Wow. And then there's so many other words, which at my age, I can't see from here. So I'm sorry about that. But I do know that what I do see are all the things that we have founded Bridges Engage on. And thank you. Thank you so much for attending today, for joining us.
Dr. Sharon, thank you so much for your thoughtful contribution. That was incredible and really moving as well. So we're going to move on to our Q&A session, and many of you have sent some great questions. So I might just, looking at the time that we have, try to answer one or two of them. So there's one from Kim. I'm in Ontario and part of the Ontario Autism Program. Do you know if I subscribe to the app, can I use Ontario Autism Program funding? Hi, Kim, also from Ontario. So one of our goals right now, actually, as we with some of our pilot partners here, with such as Home Bloorview and Shio, has been to figure this problem out and speak to the OAP and build that data. So that is something that we are actively trying to pursue and get. So as soon as we know, we will let you know, absolutely. But that is an important aspect of what we're trying to build here. We do want to work with government providers and government funders specifically, and providers across Ontario to implement this platform and have it as accessible as possible for as many families as possible. And then I guess, yeah, the other one maybe that I'll take is, okay, this one's a good one. So I live in Edmundston, New Brunswick, and was wondering if this app will answer questions on resources. For example, Edmundston has no resources for school-age children on the spectrum. An organization called CRA I know exists, but only one person works there. And this is the story, right? I think Alisha, who spoke earlier, said it best, right? This is a question hidden inside a problem, right? Like there's so many places across Canada where parents don't know where the resources are, but even more significant, don't actually have any resources around, right? So we are, I mean, one of the things that we are working on absolutely is care navigation. That is definitely an important aspect and a feature that we are building out. Of course, one of the big challenges with that is that programs and services change so frequently. And so this is, again, why we've said a few times along the way that we're very committed to working with local providers and understanding what programs are actively being carried out and adapting this resource for those situations so parents have the most up-to-date information as possible. So that's the care navigation piece. But in places like Edmundston, New Brunswick, where perhaps there is only one organization that's supporting, what do families do? Where do they get supports for? And that's really why we're building Allie, right? And the resources that are built in here. We want to make sure that parents like you can do something and start supporting your child even while you wait for those supports to come in. So hopefully that addressed it. And again, it's I'm sorry that you're in that situation. It's a really tough place to be, and I know a lot of families, even Ontario, are in that situation as well, and it's our big motivator for what we're building. So I wanted to end with some closing thoughts. At NeuroAI, we think of bridges, and I've said this a few times over the hour, as critical infrastructure for neurodevelopmental care. We understand that clinicians, families, schools, and agencies already exist. Our job is not to replace or augment or take away part of the incredible work that you all are doing. Our job is to build the digital roads and ramps underneath so support can actually flow between them in a way that works best for neurodivergent kids and their families. When we built cities many years ago, hundreds of years ago, we never designed them with ramps or accessible paths right from the beginning. And we all know how that turned out. We're now retrofitting everything, right? The AI infrastructure of the world is being laid down right now. So Bridges is really our attempt to build those ramps in from day one, so families aren't left at the bottom of the stairs again. If this vision resonates with you, we're asking 3 things. Try Bridges Engage, see how it feels in your own world. Talk with us about a pilot if you can see this fitting in your clinic, school, or organization, and share this with one family or colleague who might need it. Thank you so much for being here and everything you already do for kids and families. Have a great day.